1045 The Team, your home for New York Yankees baseball, and your home for our good friend Buster Olney, brought to you by Tech East Fire and Water Restoration. Your best way back to normal. Visit them online at tefirewater.com. I feel like we're finally back to normal with the Yankees Red Sox, thanks to Tyler Austin and Joe Kelly, Buster.
Yeah, and I thought of you when I saw that fight break out, because I was assuming that wherever you were putting boxing gloves on.
MMA gloves. I don't know boxing anymore.
Okay, well, where were you when this thing broke out? What were you doing?
I was actually out to dinner with a friend, and luckily there was a TV. And when that happened, everything else in the room stopped.
So was it a female friend?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it was.
Okay, so, and I'm assuming that once that thing broke out, you were like, yeah, get him, go get him. That she probably was like, waiter, check, I'm out of here.
You know me too well, but there was legitimately a moment where she looked over and went, just watch your game. So at least she knew what she was getting into. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I didn't think there was anybody with the attitude or whatever to start this thing. The slide starts it. I guess the biggest question in all of baseball right now, was that a clean or a dirty slide?
Yeah, I've heard people say it was dirty slide. Keith Law on my podcast said he thought it was a dirty slide. I didn't think it was a dirty slide. I thought that it certainly is a slide that you don't see anymore. We've gone away from that as being a norm because of the rule changes around second base, and clearly Brock Holt, who's a great professional, felt that way, and he turned and said something. And I will tell you this. I mean, Brock Holt is one of the most respected guys in that Red Sox clubhouse. They know how much he's battled injuries. They know how much he cares. And so it was the least surprising thing probably that they reacted on his behalf, where they felt like, you know what, Tyler, that's not something that's going to be acceptable. I would say this. I wonder if once they got in the middle of it and the Yankee heavyweights began to manifest, because if you remember, the scrap starts in the middle of the diamond with Joe Kelly and with Tyler Austin, and by the end of it, they're against the railing on the first base side, because as David Cohn said on the Yankee broadcast, it's like Aaron Judge came in and moved the pile. And I actually had a conversation with some Yankee players in spring. I think it was CC Sabathia. I was like, man, no one wants to get into fight with you guys now, because you got Judge and you got Stanton and you got you and you got Dylan Betances, and that certainly bore itself out in that scrap last night.
It's funny too. Like I, as much as all things Red Sox are bad for me, Brock Holt going, dude, I'm not fighting them. They're big.
Yeah, he's taken the same approach that I have my entire life. Okay, I mean, you realize a man is what was it? Cool Hand Luke, that movie. A man's got to realize his limitations.
One of the best movies ever, by the way. Buster Olney with us, thanks to Tech East Fire and Water Restoration. Is that the kind of thing, kind of similar to the A-Rod Veritek fight, where maybe it lights a fire into the Yankees and it's the thing that focuses them moving forward?
No, I don't think so. I think those teams back then legitimately disliked each other. Now, these teams have an opportunity to feel that way too. They're just getting started. Game 2 of 19. Maybe that'll develop. Chris Sale has that sort of personality that probably would get underneath people's skin. There are probably guys on the Yankees that could do that as well, that sort of ignite this thing. I do think that was an instance where, the Red Sox, in baseball's unwritten code and the grievances, they felt like they had something to address. And I am curious about what happens today, because Aaron Boone, in his comments and in his actions on the field, pretty apparent from what he was saying. He thought that the Red Sox were out of line, that they overreacted to what happened, and who knows? I mean, all it takes is one pitcher who's trying to make a point for the Yankees to respond, and maybe they will start to hate each other.
Buster, this might sound overly rational. I didn't have a big problem with the slide. I didn't really have a problem with Austin getting hit with the pitch. I had a problem with how fast the pitch was, and then I thought it was a little high.
I would agree with you, and you and I are on the same page with the slide. You know what I mean? I mean, I look, he was not, and Brock Holt said this, it wasn't a dirty slide where he's trying to injure him, and that used to be sort of the, on a scale of 1 to 10, the aggressive slide into second base, that used to be like a 3 or a 4.
Right.
Clip someone's foot, and look, I mean, the umpire, with the way that they called the play, it wasn't like they nailed him with it, but it's just not something you see anymore, in the same way you don't see catchers getting run over. So when someone actually does it, and you have a player like Brock who's been injured a lot, you can understand why he would react.
Buster Olney with us right now, 104.5 The Team.
How about the New York Mets, Buster? As much as we'd love to talk about the Yankees for the next 15 minutes, and Levack just kind of doesn't want it to end. Unless you got another Yankee one, go ahead.
I do one before. I'm
Sure.
all about the Mets. I think the Mets are great. Where you know Aaron Boone better than anybody we talk to. Where do you grade him so far?
First off, I think that where the Yankees are, winning or losing to this point, this early in the season, I think that Boone's performance is irrelevant. I'm going to tell you that I think he's done fine. I like the way he's answered questions on behalf of Stanton. The bullpen issues, he doesn't really have any control over Tommy Kahnle's velocity. But I'm also going to probably say all year, I'm unapologetically biased when it comes to Aaron because I know him so well. And I think he's a terrific choice, and so in some respects, I'm like the worst person you can ask that question of.
Well, okay, the one that I know you're completely non-biased on, Gabe Kapler looks like he's starting to figure it out.
Yeah, he was the biggest idiot a week ago, and now he's the greatest genius because the Phillies started winning. Isn't that funny how that works? I actually said that to Bruce Bochy during the 2014 World Series. Because, all of us knucklehead writers will react to what we see on that day. And so one day I walked up to Boch, who I, known since I covered him when he was hired as the Padres manager back in 1994. I walked up to Boch and I'm like, hey, I just got to keep track of this. Are you an idiot today or are you a complete genius? And I feel that's the way it is with managers sometimes. And I don't think they have as big an impact as sometimes is attributed to them. I think it's good for Gabe, who we talked about being smart, that, the second week has gone better, the beginning of the second week, and it's not a surprise that he made an adjustment for how he handled his pitching after all the criticism he got after yanking Aaron Nola after 68 pitches in his first start.
Well, now the question is, how long will Mets fans consider Mickey Callaway on that long side of genius before he swings over to idiot? It feels like it's going to be a long time because this Mets team's on fire.
Yeah, isn't it funny how managers are geniuses when you have a staff ERA of 2.47, the best in baseball? Look, I told you guys this before. I thought Mickey was a great choice. I thought he was a perfect choice. I've known him a long time. He's got a high degree of accountability. The message is all about organization and being prepared, and it's about competition, and which is why Zach Wheeler started the year in the minor leagues. And I think that was the exact right thing that the Mets needed. And this is someone, and I think the Mets, just being around him last weekend for Sunday Night Baseball, this is a group that's having so much fun. And, it doesn't surprise me because Mickey Callaway, despite, being the son of a civil engineer who was in the Army, he's someone who, through all that organization and demand for accountability, he has a lot of fun. And I'll tell you a story that he told us, which was funny by itself, but says so much about his personality that he was willing to tell us that he volunteered the story to us. It was about the first time that he made a change on the mound after a pitcher got hurt. It was that first weekend. Anthony Swarzak's on the mound for the Mets. He gets injured. They go out to check on him. Dave Island's there, the pitching coach. The athletic trainer's there. And then you have Mickey, who, of course, has been a pitching coach his whole life. He's never managed. He might know the managerial part of it, but he doesn't know the mechanics. So he turns to Island and said, yeah, okay, we're going to call in Familia. And Dave's like, you got to wave him in from the bullpen. You got to let him know. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm the manager. So he waves him in, and then he wants to make a double switch. And he forgot because he has not used to being the manager. He didn't bring his lineup card out. So he's to the home plate umpire. Hey, buddy, can I look at your lineup card for a second? And he's going through that. They get done that change, and then Dave Island turns to walk off. The athletic trainer turns to walk off. Mickey turns to walk off, and Island's like, you're the manager. You got to hand the ball to the pitcher. Oh, yeah, that's right. So he's there when Familia comes in, and again, the fact that he's willing to tell us that story about what he doesn't know about managing, about the mechanics of managing, tells you a lot about his confidence.
Buster Olney with us right now, 104.5 The Team. As a Yankee fan, should I be more jealous about the way Mickey Callaway is or the fact that they got Todd Frazier over there?
I'd be more worried about Noah Syndergaard because if the Mets are actually relevant to where the Yankees are, it's going to be in the World Series. In a short series with Noah Syndergaard and Jacob deGrom, that's what would worry you.
Buster, what's going to be the fallout from Nolan Arenado?
He'll probably, I'm assuming he's going to get 3 or 4 game suspension, and I'm assuming that Luis Perdomo, the pitcher who threw at him, he's going to get 5 games. I'm guessing Tyler Austin's going to get 3-4 games. I'm guessing Joe Kelly's going to get 5-6 games. Personally, I wish that somehow that ball players they're all in the same union could evolve past the situation where they're addressing grievances by firing the baseball at each other, prone targets. I hate that, but I know from my time working with Aaron Boone on Sunday Night Baseball, he would listen to my sports writer rant on that stuff. He goes, you know what, I disagree, and here's why. Within the baseball culture, as you know, this is the way that folks like to address this thing, and they feel like they need to, just as a reminder to the opposing team, the opposing pitchers, look, you can't just keep on hitting people.
Buster, should I take it as a compliment or an insult that when a riot breaks out on a baseball field, you think of me?
You should definitely take it as an insult.
Buster, where are you guys going this weekend?
We will be in Houston. We got the Texas Rangers, big sexy Bartolo Colon going against Justin Verlander. That's going to be interesting. And one of our stats and information people brought out a great number on Bartolo Colon. Think about this. In his first game, he faced Eddie Murray, in the lineup when he was with the Cleveland Indians. Eddie Murray was born in 1956, on February 24th, 1956. The youngest player he ever faced was a guy named, I'm going to mess up his last name, but that guy was born on February 26th, 1996, 40 years apart. Those two guys, the youngest and oldest players he's faced, I'm sure he'll be bringing that up over the weekend.
I just had a vision 20 years in the future of my kid interviewing your kid on the radio talking about Bartolo Colon making a start.
Exactly.
Buster, man, thank you so much. You're the best.
Okay, guys, take care.
The man, the myth, the legend, Buster Olney right there. Is brought to you right here on 104.5 The Team by our good friends at Tech East Fire and Water Restoration. Your best way back to normal. Visit them online, tefirewater.com.